Hello, everybody. Welcome to DC Time. I'm Dean.
I'm Chris.
Thanks so much for joining us. We are happy to get together. Chris and I is not sure exactly where this show is going to go. That's been the typical theme for a long time now. We've talked for another couple hours this morning and covered many things. A big topic of our conversation here has been the NFL. Probably most of you out there, a lot of you out there might not could care less about that. Chris and I followed a little bit like it, and so as some of you know right now, the NFL draft is something that just took place this past weekend. And so we were talking about that and just how big of an industry that is and how that has become and all the planning that goes in to these teams that are picking their team, trying to build a team and keep progressing, all to advance to be the top team out of 32 teams. So, of course, not everybody can be that top team. You're going to have one that's going to make it.
At the end of the season.
And everybody's building toward it. So we were talking about that, and it was just an interesting way as we talk about Scripture and what God's building and His plan, how that one's not going to fail. But here in this world, no matter what just NFL is just the example today.
Yeah.
But no matter what you're looking at.
Good way to look at it.
Yeah. In our lives here on this earth, the industries, the jobs, the work, everything, your relationships, there's all these distractions. There's all these ultimate failures.
Yeah. Right.
And it's extreme, the failures. The NFL, talk about the NFL, about the players and the draft and how that looks a little bit.
For those of you who may be outside of the United States, the NFL is an enormous business here in the United States National Football League. And they have this thing called the draft. And every year in April, late April, they draft college kids who are coming out of college according to their, abilities and statistics and all that stuff. You get to restock your team with some new talent, and everything is for the goal being the Super Bowl. And then beyond that, maybe a dynasty team who wins several Super Bowls. The Chiefs, I think, fit that bill right now. And we talked upstairs about how the draft used to be right after the Super Bowl. Now it's pushed all the way back to April so that they can have college pro days. They can bring kids in for visits. They have something called the Combine in Indianapolis every year where all of these college kids come and they time them running 40-yard dash. They put them through a whole experience of tests. It's crazy, the level. And each team has invested millions of dollars into people who actually watch college players play while the NFL season is going on, and they are making notes and stuff so that they're prepared at the end of the season. I think Dean said that he'd already heard that some of the teams are already making preparations for next year's draft. This is a business. And lots of times it's promoted to the public like these are can't miss hits. In that first round, that's where all your money's spent. That's where the best of the best get picked. And the idea is these are can't miss, But if you've followed the draft for any period of time, you discover that history is loaded with busts, people who were picked in spots, and lots of layers of reasons why those guys did not turn out. It's not a perfect science.
Yes, right.
And again, it speaks to, you and I were talking about the hubris of a man who does all these things, and the amount of money spent, it would blow your mind to try and pick these athletes, and they still screw up. They still fail. Teams don't make the playoffs. Teams don't improve. And we looked at that against, we're called the sons of God. Man's plans fail constantly. and man puts so much effort and resources into all of that. And we were looking at that because we have an interest there, juxtaposed against our future.
Yeah, and listen to some of that. Okay, let's go with that. Let me just read Ephesians. Then, having predestinated us to the adoption of children to himself by Jesus Christ, according to the good pleasure of his will, in whom also we have obtained an inheritance, being predestined according to the purpose of him who works all things after the counsel of his own will. Another, in the concordant version, we read this all the time here. The last verse there is 11, I just read, I believe. Mm-hmm. In him, in whom our lot was cast also, being designated beforehand. That's where this...
Yeah, predestined.
Yes. Designated beforehand, according to the purpose one who's operating all in accord with the counsel of his will, that we should be for the laud of his glory, who are pre-expectant in the Christ. So, yes, we were talking about the NFL and all the plans, and all the work that goes into that, and how all the work that goes into this world to try to build a successful, life or business or team or whatever you're doing, and you're doing the best you can, and within that there's failings all the time. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's always failings. It's wonderful to believe in a creator, in a father, in a placer, in a planner.
Yeah, that's great.
That's planned. That's also working his plans. We don't think he's going to fail. And then that becomes mind-boggling what he's building. It gets into the new creation, the new humanity.
Yeah.
All this language that Paul's using and what he's building. We don't see it right now. We talked about that last week. We don't see the other side of the coin. We see all the good and bad. We see the failures in ourselves and in the world. And we live with that distraction every day. Right. It becomes its own distraction. And you get caught up in thinking that's where the focus should be. Not seeing the bigger plan, the bigger picture, what God's building, this new humanity. I might read some of that too.
I'm just thinking of the hype that I listen to. Every now and again I visited, get on TV, get online, look at the hype around these kids. These are 20-year-old kids. And these franchises, these teams, I like the Steelers. Dean likes the Colts. These franchises, the hyperbole that they speak about with these players, this is a left tackle for the next decade. He's going to be anchoring this line, Now, with Father's plan and the things that Dean just read, purpose, Father is intentional with everything he does. There's no chance. There's no hope it turns out this way. We are, if you think about it, we are can't miss picks. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it, but we were chosen in a lot. That's sort of like chosen in a draft. And we can't miss. He's not going to let us fail.
And that goes for all of creation.
All of creation, yes.
Can't miss.
It cannot miss.
I love that.
It cannot fail.
Love that, yeah.
But like you just mentioned, like we said last week, we don't have a frame of reference for that kind of success.
Right.
We don't have that here.
No.
We see our mistakes in our own lives. And, you put yourself through all kinds of frustration and wish I could do better. How in the world could I be a witness to a celestial? Because what a mess. Well, maybe you're supposed to be a mess that day when the celestials are looking at you. If it is, you can bet Father wrote it into the story. You can just bet it's there intentionally. It's there on purpose. We can't miss.
Listen to this, about predestination. I am predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. We heard that. I heard that in my Christian upbringing. You hear this language all the time. But is it really our destiny? Yeah. Is it predetermined? Is it preset, prefixed? Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it does not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when we shall appear, we shall be like him. Now this is 1 John 3:2.
Mm-hmm.
But still, look
part of the Jewish. Yes,
look what God's
absolutely.
Look what He's doing there.
Yeah.
Right, and then you get into Ephesians, all this predestination talk. You see it. God's working a plan. Here, this guy here, this I don't know who this
Bill
is.
Heimer.
Yeah,
something.
I'm going to read a few things he says about created originally in the image of God. Redeemed humanity has been elevated by means of a divinely conceived genetic process to the highest rank of all created beings. All right, he said this union, this goes beyond a mere formal, idealistic harmony. It's an organic unity. We become actual generated sons of God. There again, he's 1 John 3:2 reference. Partakers of the divine nature, generated by his own life. This gets into the new humanity.
Yeah.
Christ is the divine prototype after which this new species is being made. This new species, they are to be exact copies of him. True genotypes. As sons of God, begotten by him, incorporating into their fundamental being and nature the very genes of God. Now, I like that. We talked before about everything comes out of God.
Yeah.
All creation comes out of that.
Yeah.
There's a DNA, so to speak,
within, right, with the Father. All things being connected.
Yeah, within his creation.
Yeah.
So is that going to fail? I mean, he's working a plan right now. We don't see it. We're distracted by all the failings of this world.
Yeah.
By what's going on in our own lives. We're distracted all the time. But is all this, could this be real? Could this be true? That God's, oh, wait a minute. He's building something. This is a step, just a step along the way, along the journey. And he's building something.
Right. And you and I, we know that it's not, it doesn't have it, it's not any part of us that's doing this. We're not making ourselves an attractive choice, if you want to say, or whatever. You know, here in 2 Timothy 9, who saves us and calls us with a holy calling, not in accord with our acts, but in accord with his own purpose. And the grace which he has given to us in Christ Jesus before time's aeonian. That's a long time ago this draft happened. And he chose flawed people to be stars. Mm-hmm. And it's intentional work. We have intentional work that Father is preparing us for right now. We're going to be a part of reconciling sovereignties, authorities, principalities back to him, just like he reconciled the earth to himself. We're a part of this plan. Mm-hmm. We can't miss.
Yeah, and that's you too.
That's exactly you too.
You're a part of that plan. You're a can't miss.
Yeah.
In this
You're
plan.
A first round.
It's unbelievable. You might not believe that.
Yep.
That's what we believe about his creation. You can't miss too. So.
Yep.
All right. Hopefully that encourages you. I don't have anything else.
No, that's good stuff. I love all of you out there. Love the comments.
Go Colts. Go Steelers.
Yeah, you'll know in the
your
fall,
team is.
We'll start wearing our colors. So
we'll see with our can't miss picks. It just
happened.
Right.
I can't miss picks. Yeah, right. For sure.
See where they're at here next year.
Take care. Have a great week, guys.
See ya.
Bye.